Fuck it. Here we go. All right, welcome to Shoot Defense. I've got Steve Eyre, Rodri Giggs, and Scott Wotton here. This is probably the worst introduction I've ever done in my life, but fuck it. How you guys doing? All right?
You and still all right?
Yeah, all good, Steve. How you been, mate? How you been?
Good too. Good too.
Yeah? You enjoyed this international break? Excuse to do some DIY and...
No.
Maybe scouting Bolton.
Yeah? Say
Maybe
again?
scouting Bolton tonight.
No, I was going to go tonight. Yeah, I've not gone. Stell wanted us to do this for 9:30, so no. Is it still 0-0?
Why? You should have gone.
I don't know.
Let me hold you back.
I've been watching the golf, you know.
Okay.
Don't you dare let this
No.
get in the way of your scouting mission, my friend.
No, there's no scouting, mate. I'm just going to go and watch the game. No scouting.
You're playing Burton Albion. 75 minutes gone. It's 0-0.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, it sounds like a very, very intriguing encounter right there. They've got Del Fuenzo. He was at Villa, wasn't he?
Yeah. God, yeah. He's a sub for Bolton, though, isn't he? Has he come on or something?
No, he's on the bench still.
Yeah.
He's on the bench. Yeah. But Burton have got, is that Cameron Borthwick-Jackson that's playing for him now? He's playing for Man United.
I don't know if Scott played with him, but I've looked at the lineup on the internet tonight, and they shaped him up in midfield. I can't really see that.
In midfield, yeah. I was watching it before. He's playing as a sitting two in midfield. Yeah. I think he played about 20 Premier League games, I think, for Man United.
Yeah.
Van Gaal project, wasn't
he? I played him, yeah.
He was a left back, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who's that? Kieran Lee?
No,
Jackson.
Borthwick-Jackson.
Oh, all right, okay.
You're right, yeah. Van Gaal gave him the opportunity back when United had all those injuries and fatigue and all that kind of shit, wasn't it?
Give him a big contract as well.
Yeah. Scott, were you there at the time?
No, I'd left probably 18 months before that. I left just as Moyes went in.
Oh, right.
Kieran Lee would have been a lot older than me, and Borthwick-Jackson a lot younger than me.
So what, did you actually speak to Moyes by any chance, or did you get to know him before?
I spoke to him. Well, the reason I left was because he was a 2-year deal on the table for me from under Sir Alex, but I couldn't. The reason I had to leave was because I said to Moyes, I'll sign this contract if you can guarantee me to go out on loan, because the 2 years before that, I'd spent a season on loan in the Championship at Peterborough and Nottingham Forest. Then I played in 4 games in the first team up until January, and then I went back on loan to the Championship again in that January. And Moyes just said, listen, I want to have a look at everyone at the club. Don't want anyone to leave, blah, blah, blah. So I in my head, I had to go. I couldn't have gone back to playing sort of. I think it just changed then to under 21s. Was it under 21s, Steve, before it went to 23s?
21s before 23s, yeah. Now they're trying to make it back to open age.
So in my head, I'm thinking I was 21, I think, turning 22. I can't go back because I got lucky with a few injuries when I got a chance, got a few games, and they were all back fit. Everyone was there: Ferdinand Vidic, Johnny Evans, Jones, Smalling. So I wasn't going to play. So I couldn't go back to playing in the 20. It was just getting rebranded as the 21. So I would have been an overage player after a few months. So I had to go. But he seemed all right, David Moyes, to be fair. Seemed okay.
The thing is, as a player and you've gone out on loan and you're going to come back to United, many players have gone out on loan and come back to various clubs, and they've they've done better, but more often than not, they end up leaving. Like if you look at Arsenal, for example, you've got Kolasinac. He was at Schalke last season and they got relegated, but then he's come back to Arsenal and he's put in the team against Man City and they've got hiding. But as a player like him, what do you think is going on in his head? Is like, this manager didn't want me in the fucking first place. Like, does he feel motivated to play for the club?
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's his job, isn't it? But in terms of the motivational part of it, football's so fickle and things change so quick. So, like you say, 1 minute he's not in the plans, he's out on loan at Schalke, comes back, he might not have got the signings. There's been injuries. Ben White had COVID. All of a sudden, he's playing in the team. It's just that's how fast and quickly it changes. And I'm sure the lads will echo that. It's the craziest industry for examples of the stuff like that by far.
Steve, did you ever have any City players in the academy that went out on loan and came back better, or maybe they felt kind of less motivated to put on the shirt?
No, there was the influx of money, and there was the Youth Cup winning team that then wanted to then go. The next stage for them was to go and make first team debuts, and well, City are signing Brazilians like Ilano, Joe, Robinho, etc. There was that type. Lads wanted to get on with the careers. So I remember Adam Clayton went to Leeds, Kieran Trippier went to Barnsley, then he went to Burnley. And for them, it was just all about getting some league appearances because a bit similar to Scott, they kind of like knew that it was space jammed in front of them of, well, star quality, world-class internationals, really, more so at United at the time than at City than it is now. And there's a few lads just cracked on with it. Probably Ben Mee was another one. He went to Leicester, which is obviously a great loan. And then some lads hung around and unfortunately didn't progress because they stagnated in the under-21s and they didn't get a good enough loans. But in fairness, the ones who went out on loan and jumped, they've all ended up having amazing careers, and they're still all going.
So when you look at like Jesse Lingard, for example,
He's had about 7.
Sorry?
He's had about 7.
Yeah, wasn't he a Derby at Leicester,
Brighton,
Ipswich,
West Ham. Where else? He's been to quite a few clubs. Sorry?
Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah.
That's right. But he's come back to United and he's back in the England squad. And this isn't like an intentional segue to talk about the international break because I fall asleep when it comes to the internationals. It gives me more time with the family, really. Steve, I think you're the same. Scott, before the show we were talking about, it was like, Rod, you're a bit not sure.
You know what? I didn't watch the Wales game. I only watched the last 20 minutes. It was 2-1 down. I thought, you know what? I'll watch this. See how they get on.
What is it about the internationals then? Because I remember, look, I'm 40 now. So I remember watching international games when I was 10, 11, 12, like Italian 90, Euro 92, USA 94, staying up to watch that, even though I was meant to be going to school the next day. Then Euro 96, which kind of like catapulted English football fandom, wasn't it? You know, had a lot of new fans coming from different sports.
There's too many internationals, and back then, the quality of the Premier League wasn't the cup it is now. And international football was probably better to watch. But there's loads of international games now. There's too many.
Yeah. Well, there's how many is in that this break? 3? Is it 2 or 3?
England have got 3, haven't they? Sure,
England are playing 3, yeah.
Because they played Hungary, Andorra. Who's the next one?
I think Wales are playing 3 as well. They played Finland, and then they've just played Belarus. And then they've got someone else this week.
Well, this is it. No disrespect here, but when you look at the calendar, you're thinking Finland. Okay, Wales. That's the nation that you support. But then they're playing Finland. Then like, okay, Finland qualified for the Euros. They've got half decent players. Then you're playing Belarus. And look, I'm going to support Cyprus. That's the national team, and I know they're shit. And I watched the fucking Malta game, and they lost 3-0. And I watched the start of the Russia game, and they'll go down after 5 minutes. But I'm thinking, they're fucking shit, but not because of the players. The players are decent. It's just that the infrastructure, the coaching is terrible. Like the tactics are dreadful. But then we look at Wales against Belarus. You're thinking, can I be fucking bothered to watch this? I don't feel any. Even if they were successful, Cyprus, I wouldn't be interested in watching their games because you guys said there's so many fucking games. I can cut myself off deliberately.
No, you're right. There's too many, and with the Premier League being so good, difficult, isn't it?
Fair enough. All right, let's go back to Lingard then, because Scott, I believe you kind of know him, or you played alongside him in some capacity. Many people have asked me that. Why do you think he's being called up to the England squad despite not really doing too much this season? Now I know he was in the pre-England squad before the Euros, the Euros, wasn't he? So he didn't make the full 23, but he played in the friendly against Austria at Middlesbrough that he played in, the one that Trent got injured in. So it was in the plans, but then he didn't make the full squad. So for a player that has hardly kicked the ball for United this season, I know it's only 3 games. Why do you think Southgate has called him up again?
I think it just has to be based on his West Ham form. I think he was unbelievable, wasn't he, for West Ham, really? And I think I remember reading that Ollie said he was going to play if it wasn't for them coming down with COVID in the first game. So he's obviously, it must have given him a new lease of life, coming back obviously he must have been going through a tough period before that loan. He's gone there, done brilliantly. He's obviously came back really impressed in this pre-season, and maybe Gareth Southgate, maybe there was an injury, I'm not quite sure on the whole squad, and if someone had to pull out or whatnot, and he's just thought, he might have showed a really good attitude in the camp before the Euros. There's all sorts of things he would have been considering, and fair play to him. He's not looked at him and said, "Oh, he hasn't played for Man United." He's took him and he's done well, and apparently he played really well last night, didn't he? So there's all sorts of things that I'm sure Gareth Southgate would have been considering and thinking about.
Still, it's quite easy for me, mate. I think this is a really easy one in my opinion. You there, mate?
Yeah, far away.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's really, really transparent to me. I don't think it would be unfair to say that Jack Grealish, Phil Foden and Mason Mount are better than Jesse Lingard. That's what the standard football fan would think. But the truth is, Jesse Lingard is the best number 10 in England. He's the only one who does it for his club, albeit West Ham. Scott covered it superbly there. Not only did he play, he was excellent for them with his numbers. And all the others, if Phil Foden plays there, or Jack Grealish plays there, or Mason Mount play there, however brilliant they are, they're actually playing out of position, albeit from 10 yards coming in off the wing. Everybody thinks that Grealish is that good. He can play number 10, but when he plays there, he gets lost. Every time Mount plays there, he gets marked, and Foden is better on either wing. So the truth is,
I think Dele Alli's got a spot there if he carries on continuing, and Tottenham keep on playing there. He's a natural number 10.
But Tottenham have moved into number 8, Rod. Tottenham have moved him back. Tottenham have moved into right midfield. That's why he's playing so well for Spurs. He got drowned playing for England in that position as well. The truth is, Jesse Lingard is the best England number 10. It's for me. That's he's the only one that runs past the centre forward, and that helps the centre forward because he takes centre halves away and it gives the centre forward a bit of space. The other three all like the ball. They all want the ball on the spot. Lingard will run through, and that's for me makes him the best centre forward. Sorry, the best number 10.
I think the problem he's got for United is just Bruno Fernandes. That is it. Because I'm sure if he played in that team, he would be just as successful as he was in the West Ham team. But
yeah,
you've probably got one of the best Premier League players in front of him.
Honestly, it must be great to play with for the centre forward because he runs and joins up with you and then runs past you. And centre halves have got to pick you up, and it gives you a one-on-one as a centre forward.
So you think he could play in as a free, but not obviously in the two holding. He's got to play in front of the holding.
Lingard has got to play in front of Rice, in front of basically where Mason Mount played in the first game.
No, I'm talking now for United. If
United,
he's to play for United.
Well, it's a cul-de-sac, isn't it, Rod? And the thing is, Fernandes looks like the type that doesn't want to come off. Doesn't want a 20-minute rest on a Saturday because they've got a Champions League game on the Wednesday. He doesn't want to come off. He wants to play the minutes. Other than injury, I don't see how he gets a game for United.
So why would you want to stay there unless you just want to play with Ronaldo?
How much is he on?
No, but why would you? No, he's playing really, really. In right, he'd walk into most Premier League sides, and he's going to sit on the bench for another year. He's 27, 28, no?
Getting towards 28 now, isn't he?
Let's have a look. Let me double check this one because Lingard was like the best teenager in the world last season. He's 28. He's going to be 29 this year.
So he's in his prime now. So he's a fit lad. He doesn't really get injured. So there's no problem in going in for the next 5 or 6 years because you can see no problems there. But it's a short career. Especially with the season he had last year. But he's kicking himself now, and maybe he moves in January, gives it till January, and thinks, you know what?
Yeah, you could just keep reviewing it every 6-month window.
Yeah, it's just a waste, isn't it? To waste 4 months.
Yeah.
Because in pre-season as well, to be fair to him, probably Southgate's seen in his highlights I watched, he was very, very good in pre-season as well. So then he got COVID, and he had to sit out for a bit.
The thing is, no disrespect, Rob, but we know that he had family problems. Well, it was quite well documented last season that he had issues at home with his family and everything. So perhaps he doesn't really want to leave Manchester because he's going to have to uproot and go wherever it is. At least if it's a loan, it's only a temporary thing. Whereas if he moves permanently, then he's going to have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. So perhaps staying at United.
Why was it so successful for the when he was at West Ham then?
I don't know. Maybe things had improved. Maybe any knew it was a short-term thing. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, he's not actually. He doesn't actually. His dad's from Manchester, but his mum doesn't actually live in Warrington. She's living from Warrington. She's not actually Manchester. Well, it's only 20 minutes away, but.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
I
I guess
just felt the whole weight off his shoulders, mightn't he? He's gone down there on loan. You're in a fresh environment.
True.
All this pressure, and he got a bit of a tough time, didn't he, from the United fans? That's all gone now because he's playing for West Ham. In terms of him not going, he might have probably done that well at West Ham. Ollie Solskjaer might have said to him on day one of pre-season, "Listen, you're going nowhere. We just don't know." Like you said, still, we're just guessing. But
yeah.
What's he got left still? A year?
Oh, that's another question. All right. Okay.
I think he's only got a year or.
Runs until 2024, mate.
Oh, right. So he's got 3 years left.
Oh, wait. No. Hang about. No. 1 second. Ignore me. 2022. Yeah.
That's his last year.
The report was he was offered a new contract.
So maybe he's thought, you know what? I'll sit it out. I'll wait a year and I'll get paid.
He's on 75 bags a week, man.
No, he's on more than that. I can guarantee you that. But if he moves, he'll get a lot more instead of someone paying 20 million for him. Now,
yeah, that's right. Although the thing is with Lingard, right? He went through. I remember when he got his debut with United under Van Gaal. He was left wing back against Swansea. He came off injured, and then he fought his way back into the team. Scored the goal in the FA Cup final, and then his career kind of kicked on from that, but like gradually. But I think the peak of his United career was probably under Mourinho when he scored at the Emirates and he was doing the moonwalk on the pitch. And then that's when the whole gimmick kind of started, the whole dancing and all that kind of shit. And it's almost as if it elevated him to this level whereby people were expecting him to do this week in, week out, but for the gimmick. So then when the goals dried up, that's when he started getting all the shit.
To be fair to him, I think he was played out of position. Like Scott know more than me where he's positioned. I'm sure he was a number 10. He was getting played out on the wing a lot and he wasn't performing. So it's difficult when you haven't played there a lot. And I don't know, was he a number 10, Scott, or was he a winger?
Yeah. No, he was a number 10. If he ever played wide, it would be similar to like what Steve was saying before. He wouldn't be wide, taking players on the outside. He'd be coming inside into little pockets, causing havoc. But his best position by far is number 10, 100%.
Especially now he's grown into his body. He's completely grown into his body now. He's clearly doing some work in the gym. Yeah. He's got adult features instead of kid features anymore. But his shoulders and his biceps look bigger every time I see him in a kit, but not out of proportion. He's just simply grown into his body. It's his time. Like Rodri, you said though, I'm saying that, but yeah, you're right. He should be playing.
Well, didn't Ferguson say that he was going to be a late developer?
Oh yeah, well, they always thought that. 7
loans. So you've probably just never physically developed enough to play in a fair. Technically, he was there comfortably. Do you remember him when he was a kid, Steve? And he was tiny.
Well, what used to happen? He was an under 18. He was an under 18, and we'd turn up and play him at under 16s, and he'd be playing in the under 16s. And we never had the ump that he was playing, basically 2 years older than he shouldn't be. We just used to have the ump that a courtesy call, if they'd have rang us on the Thursday or a Friday and said, can we play one of our older boys down because he's a late developer? We'd have always said, yeah. So we had the ump that we never got the courtesy call. But for about 4 or 5 years, Scott, then when he was 20, he was playing down in the under 18. So, you'll have known by playing with him, but the United staff knew they had something. And instead of releasing him because he couldn't cope at his own age group, they played him down. But like I said, they never told us about it until we turned up.
Yeah, he didn't get in the youth cup team.
I can imagine.
You're both know, the League Cups, obviously in the league games, the games share around and stuff, don't they? But youth cup, you pick your best, especially at United. It's a huge tradition.
So that was like Tunnicliffe and Pogba.
Tunnicliffe, Pogba played as a midfield too. Arnell Cole played on the right. Yeah. Ravel Morrison played number 10. and a guy called Giuliano Van Velsen played on the left. Jesse was on the bench.
Yeah.
And he's done the best out of all that. Well,
Yeah.
apart from Pogba, probably. He's done the best out of all that squad.
Yeah. It shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nelson, wow, that's a name. Bloody hell. Wow, I remember him. But not like, the name stands out, obviously. Christ. Right, I'll tell you what, but did you see what happened in Argentina, in Brazil? Excuse me, in Brazil, when Brazil played Argentina yesterday?
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers. That is, I mean, I've never seen a game postponed in that way before. I mean, obviously COVID wasn't in the world when games were being postponed back in the day. But I mean, for crying out loud, you got health officials running onto the pitch, you got police officers trying to arrest footballers. It's fucking crazy, man. Can you imagine? And they're saying that, these players, they provided false information, because apparently when you go to Brazil and you've traveled from red list countries or red zone countries, you got to self-isolate or you got to quarantine for 14 days, and they'd only been there for like 3 days. That's mad. That's bad.
Do you think they filled them forms out? Do you think someone else filled them out for them?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. But what I do know is that Martinez, that goalkeeper, left Arsenal. I don't think he kind of anticipated getting arrested in Brazil, though, one day. It's fucking bonkers. Steve, have you seen a match postponed or cancelled for a very bizarre reason? Like, I don't know, maybe a dog running on the pitch, biting a player, or... Rod's got some stories playing at certain levels.
I've been involved in one at Blackpool where there was an Owen Oyston out campaign by the Blackpool fans on the last game of the season for Huddersfield, and it got so big and prolonged that the game got cancelled and never replayed because it was the last game, and there was people on in wheelchairs, those scooters like you have to see on Benidorm and things like that.
Oh, the mobility scooters.
Mobility scooters. Yeah. There was I think bikes. I don't know how they all got. There was kids. There was grandparents, and it was just basically a protest stroke riot. And the game never continued. So that's the closest I've ever been to being part of one. But I think our lads were disappointed because they needed 3 points. I think our lads at Huddersfield to get a win bonus, because it would have meant that you'd have got more points than you'd done the previous season. Okay. And the game just got scratched because it broke a lot of hearts in Yorkshire.
Scott, what about you, man? Come on. I'm sure you heard some stories, at least when you were at Leeds, with the financial difficulties and all that. And
yeah, you just reminded me, yeah. Wow. We turned up for the game. So Leeds are always on Sky, always. Even when they were in the Championship, they were always on telly. But the money was equally shared out between all the clubs. And I mean, we had Massimo Cerino was the owner at the time, and you just have to Google him for 2 minutes. He's an absolute lunatic. And we turned up for the game, and the gates were locked. So you turn up hour and a half before the game. The gates were locked, and he was blocking all the cameras and all that from coming in for the game, because he was basically trying to protest that it was unfair that, obviously, basically what he was saying is, when Leeds are on telly, less fans come to the game because they can stay at home and watch it on telly. And we were on telly every other week. And the money, they weren't getting any extra money than any other teams. So we turned up for the game, and all the gates and all that were locked. They wouldn't let the cameras in. But I mean, it ended up going ahead. But that was the closest that I've ever come from like a crazy experience of a game being cancelled or anything. We had one last season, actually, playing for Wigan away at Oxford. One of the floodlights blew. Was on fire. And the second half got delayed by, I think, about 25, 30 minutes. We had to go and sit back on the coach because we had to evacuate the building because the floodlight was on fire. That was a bit crazy. Yeah, it was funny. We ended up playing it on, but no, that's it really.
Rod, come on, man. You must have some. Come on.
No, I haven't really. Postponements. I remember playing at Newcastle Falcons on the rugby union ground. We're playing there, and the wind was so bad it was pulling the corrugated iron off the roof. So that got cancelled halfway through that game. But no, that's it. Really. FC United, when they've run on all the fans, the dicks have run on the pitch and sat in the middle of the ground. But yeah, no crazy ones like that.
Fair enough. Actually, do you know what? We were speaking about players on loan and Lingard. Scott, you were at Peterborough, weren't you, when Darren Ferguson was head coach, if I'm not mistaken, right? What is that like? Because I've heard so many stories about players being sent out on loan to clubs that, you know, Sir Alex's boy has been in charge of, and then it doesn't go right, and then Ferguson gets pissed off and he brings the players back. What was that conversation like with
that happened at Preston, didn't it?
yeah.
Josh King, Matty James, I think Danny Welbeck were all on board at Preston, and then when Darren lost his job, he recalled them all back. But yeah,
what was the conversation like? Did he say to you, "Come on, son, you're going to Peterborough"?
No, I was on holiday. In Iron Appin in your country.
Come on.
So I think I was 19 or 20 anyway, and I was honestly, I'll never forget it. I got a phone call off withheld number. So I've gone to him, is that someone like give me a prank phone call? Anyway, rang back about 5 minutes later. So I answered it, and I was in the hotel, and it was Alex Ferguson. So I was like, oh, ran into the next room, and he basically just said, listen, because I'd been on loan at Tranmere for 2 months, because you used to be able to go on month-to-month loans, and that was in League One the season before. And he just said, obviously, you've done well at Tranmere. Peterborough have just been promoted into the Championship. You know, it'll be a good chance for you to make the step up in the division, blah, blah, blah. And that was pretty much it, really. And then I just went there on day one. But it was a bit, because everything you do, you're thinking it's going back to Sir Alex Ferguson, do you know what I mean? How you train, your attitude. Obviously, you didn't get into any trouble or anything like that. But in the back of your head, you're thinking everything, every performance, every conversation is going to end up going back to the boss. So it was quite strange. But listen, he was great. I mean, he's done great in his managerial career, Darren Ferguson. He was a really good manager.
This is how smart Fergie is, yeah? And the thing is, people talk about how sly he is. He sent you on loan to Forest when Steve McLaren was head coach as well. He knew exactly where he was sending these players.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why. So I'd gone on loan to Forest then after that. And then fast forward 12 months. And then I got involved with the first team then at United, done the pre-season, done well, and then stayed with the first team until January, and then everyone was back fit. And I actually could have, Steve McLaren had been sacked, but well before this point. Sean O'Driscoll was the manager, and he tried to sign me in the January permanently. But obviously Darren was still at Peterborough, so I knew Forest were interested. And then when I had a meeting with Sir Alex about offering me a new contract, he didn't even mention not Forest, it was Peterborough again. So I was like, you know what do you do? Do you know what I mean? So I ended up going back to Peterborough on loan, whereas I could have signed for Nottingham Forest.
But it's a big club, Forest, though, isn't it?
Yeah, massive. I loved it there. Huge club. I mean, they've won 2 European Cups. Nottingham Forest. It was steeped in history with all the Brian Clough stuff and all the stories you hear in the training ground and stuff like that. But no, it was good. Really good club. Good setup. Good training ground. I think that they're struggling at the minute. Aren't they, the bottom of the league? I think they haven't won a game yet.
Well, hang about. Was that before or after the Greek took over?
This was before. I actually signed when I joined on loan. The owner passed away after about a week of me joining. Doty, is it? Yeah. Yeah, we were supposed to play Derby, obviously the big Derby match, and he passed away on it. I think it was I remember being in the hotel on the Friday night, and the game was cancelled. So quite a sad time, really, to be there. Yeah, and then I think the Greek guy came in that following summer. I'm pretty sure.
What was a vibe around the club? Because I know Darbs was at the club at the time when you were there, and Darbs was playing for Olympiacos before that, so he knew who the owner was. Yeah, he must have told you a few stories about him. Oh yeah, there's some. I remember there was a few lads still there from my time there. Chrissy Cohen, a couple of boys, and just saying it was just carnage. The amount of managers that they were having. It was similar to what I experienced at Leeds under Massimo Cellino, just manager after manager. And it was the same there. Players coming in from, the amount of players that they sign. In fact, funnily enough, at Wigan, Tendai Rikwa was there. And he said since he'd been at Forest in 3 years, they'd signed 76 players, he said. I mean, it's just carnage, isn't it? It's mental. I mean, the stories that you can hear about this owner is hilarious. I really shouldn't say too much, but you know, for crying out loud, he apparently owned a ship that was seized with like 100 kilograms of heroin on board or something like that. You know, it's just like he's just one of those guys. But anyway, it is what it is. It is. I'm sure you've heard lots of stories there, Scott. So I'm not gonna delve into that one too tough. But yeah. So anyway, these international games, are we glad they're over, almost over, because the Premier League resumes this week, and then United have got Newcastle, the return of Ronaldo. We haven't really spoken too much about Ronaldo's return, have we, gents? I mean, we touched on it last week, but it wasn't in depth. So I think it's come out today that United will be paying Juventus $2.5 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years or something along those lines, which, think about it, I think that's money well spent. Steve, was there any chance that he would go to City, do you think?
No, and I think I touched on it last time, but I don't know. I've got no knowledge. There's no foundation here, but it's so high profile now. It's so high tariff that with these agents involved that we only know by name, maybe by the odd profile pic. You just keep hearing about them, and the millions keep going up and up, you know, and the City hierarchy. But this is the third, not the first time that City have taken Man United down the path and then turned round and gone the other way. They did it with Harry Maguire. They've done it with Alexis Sanchez. And they've done it now with Cristiano Ronaldo, all but signing for City, if you were to believe it, for about a 48-hour period. And I just don't know if City are more than happy to do this, to ramp up the wages for Ronaldo to go to United, and in return, some business exchange. It's just me speculating, but the facts are City have done this 3 times now.
Okay, so you guys have obviously not purchased a striker this summer. Aguero's gone. What's happening in January then? I honestly believe it's going to be similar to what happened with Chelsea and Fernando Torres, where they spent big in January to bring him in. And I think that's what City are going to do this year. They have to. Sure.
Yeah. Well, it could be Kane again. It could be Kane again in January. I've not ruled that out in my mind. And I'm sure, you know, some form of negotiation or approach will be made to Haaland. I'm more convinced of it now. So whether that be January or the summer, I'm not sure. But I'm expecting City to bid for one of those 2 players again.
Scott, what did you make of the Cristiano Ronaldo move? I messaged David on the day when it happened, and he just said yes with like the muscle emoji. So yeah, he's obviously pleased about Ronaldo rejoining United. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I think it's great news and incredible for all the fans. I think if the figures are true, I mean, that is just an absolute steal. What did Chelsea pay? I know he's 36, but he still scored more goals than Lukaku, hasn't he?
More than last season, yeah.
And they paid what, £197 million for him.
Yep.
I think the wages they'll get back in shirt sales, and I've seen stories of they can't even get enough shirts to satisfy the megastore at Old Trafford and things like that. They'll get that money back easy and more for what they're paying them in wages. So if that's what they're paying him transfer fee, it'll be an absolute steal. I think he's just guaranteed goals. I think his mentality, how he trains, all that it'll just galvanise the whole squad. You know, they've not won anything at the minute, most of them lads in there. Obviously, Pogba's won stuff with France and Juventus, but that's the next step, isn't it, for the team, is to win a trophy, and his experience and his winning mentality hopefully will drive that team on, and I think with that sign now, I think they are serious challenges to Liverpool and Chelsea, City. I think before that, I said they're a bit short. Varane and Sancho are 2 great fans as well, but I still didn't really see them getting anywhere close to Chelsea and City, especially. Also Liverpool, but I think that now really bridges the gap massively for me.
Yeah. So they're going to pay Juventus 15 million quid, but it's going to be over 5 years, 3 million a year, which is astounding, really, when you think about it.
A club like that.
Was that?
It's nothing for a club like Man United. 15 million a year. Nothing.
And when they bought Paul Pogba, didn't they around the world, they matched they started earning money after a year. That's Paul Pogba. Imagine Ronaldo.
Yeah. Well, this is it. And the thing is, it kind of boosts the club's portfolio on top of that, because they can now say to investors, look, we've got Ronaldo. But enough, they've already got Pogba. So it just adds to it. It adds value to the club. And the owners know exactly what they're doing. You know, as much as they've leached money out of the club, they know exactly what they're doing from a financial perspective. But Scott, what do you say to people who say that, you know, Ronaldo joining is because Alison Rudd, who is a very well-known journalist for, I think it's the Times, she wrote 2 articles, and one of them was about Dan James leaving United, and that just shows that United are moving backwards in terms of their youth development, and bringing in Ronaldo is going to hinder the youngsters. For me, that's a load of old bollocks. What do you say when you hear stories like that, or opinions, shall I say?
James is a young player, but he didn't come through the youth system at Man United. They bought him from Swansea, so
that's right. Yeah,
it's not. Don't know where that's come from, but signing that you couldn't get any better player for the youth. You know, imagine being Mason Greenwood now, learning off Ronaldo every day, training with him, doing finishing practices, drills after training, and the reserve lads, academy lads, even Rashford's still young. They're all. There couldn't be any better signing to bring on the youth players at all. That's just absolute nonsense for me.
Well, you were there when Rio was at the club, and he was fair. He was very well established. Vidic was there, if I'm not mistaken. And it reminds you of, I think I mentioned it on the last show, that when Laurent Blanc joined United, and a lot of people were saying, oh, he's 36, he ain't got no legs. But then you look at how much Rio and Wes Brown and John O'Shea learnt from him. Come on, if these players don't learn from Cristiano Ronaldo, and for people to say, well, him joining United is going to hinder the development of youngsters, it's nonsense. If anything, it's going to help him, no?
Yeah, I think so. The only point I can kind of get is, I've heard people say, oh, well, Greenwood's not going to get, where's Greenwood going to play at? But there's that many games. They have 2 games a week, every week almost, up until Christmas, and even after, you know, he's going to get his fair share of games. And even he can still play on the right. He can play on the, you know, Sancho and Rashford can play both on the left. He'll get plenty of game time. Ronaldo's not going to play the Carling Cup, I wouldn't have thought. Maybe even some of the FA Cup games, depending on the draw. So it's absolute nonsense for me. The development of, I'm excited to see how it's going to unfold, really, especially Greenwood, because I think he's a special talent.
And Rod, following on what Scott just said about Greenwood and the amount of games that he was going to play, for crying out loud, even if Ronaldo didn't join, Greenwood wasn't going to play every single game anyway, because you've got Cavani, they got Martial, you got Rashford coming back.
Mate, I disagree totally. This guy's a stud. So if he's scoring goals like he is and he's playing the way he is, you've got to play him. Yes, you've got
every week. He's 19, 18,
why
19.
not? Why not?
You get burnt out. No?
Yeah, you're not going to play him every week. But
that's what I'm saying.
But every other week, you're not going to be leaving him out and not playing him if he's doing well and scoring goals. I don't give a shit how old he is. He's not 20 now. He's growing into a man. He's not a kid anymore. So if he's scoring goals and he's playing the way he's playing, this guy's a stud. He's going to be United's top goal scorer. No doubt in my mind, if he carries on the way he's playing and developing.
Steve, what do you reckon? What do you make of Mason Greenwood? I'm sure you know all about him.
Yeah, I do, and I agree with everything that you and the lads have said. And just to put a different angle on it, I don't see anything being affected with his development. I think it's really on an even keel, mostly on that left wing. That right wing coming in off the left foot, on his left foot. He can play right across the front. My biggest concern is Bruno Fernandes. A very disappointing Euros. Ronaldo, the main man the other night against Ireland. Fernandes dragged off. Every penalty that Ronaldo takes, Fernandes doesn't take. Every free kick that Ronaldo takes, Fernandes doesn't take. Every probably shot from outside the box will now be halved because Ronaldo will be having it. I actually see greater gain with in development with Greenwood. I see it with Rashford. I still see Ronaldo being the best player in the world, in my opinion, for the next 12 months or even 2 seasons. I've just got a doubt about Bruno Fernandes, who I'm a massive fan of, but I think it'll just shade him because it's done it with Portugal. Jota had a quiet Euros for Portugal. Bernardo Silva had a quiet Euros for Portugal. And I think when you've got the best player in the world in your team, most of it goes through you. There has to be a give somewhere else. And I've got a feeling it'll be Fernandes.
What you mean? What, to make way for?
No, just his numbers. He's been amazing
Right.
for United. I'm a big fan. But he won't continue in that vein with Ronaldo in the team, because I look at what happens at Portugal and I think everything will be geared up for the best player in the world to have a great time at Old Trafford. And you can't do that and somebody else have a great time like he's had for the last 2 seasons too. I don't believe they can dovetail superbly equally. I don't believe basically Fernandes can carry on being the main man, and I think it'll shade him.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to ask you guys this question. One more question, United based, because I want to make this all about United. But Ronaldo joining the club, what does that mean for Paul Pogba then? Does he play a central midfield role now? Because I can't see him being played on the left-hand side like Ole has done previously. Is he going to be more of a central midfielder with McTominay?
Throw it to the lads.
Anyone?
Well, he's got to play there. We can't carry on with Fred and McTominay, and so Pogba's got to make that position his own. He's good enough. He plays for it for France. You know, I'm pretty sure you'll see him assisting Ronaldo a lot, because, you know, his quality is good, and we've seen Ronaldo how good he's in the air and wherever it is, he's going to score. And Pogba's got good quality, so I see him sitting in front, but being the one that can press on. And even if Fred's there or McTominay's there, they're educated, these players, enough. If one's gone on, one's got to sit. It's pretty simple.
Well,
yeah, I agree. The big thing for me will be knowing what Ollie's done in the past, especially 18 months with Pogba. All the big games, he's played 2 of the 3 of Matic, McTominay and Fred, because they're more disciplined. He knows that they'll sit as a 2. Listen, we know what Pogba's like, amazing player, but he does drift and he does wonder. He hasn't got the same discipline as them 2. So I'll be really interested to see what he does for United's first real big game, because I can't see him playing on the left now with Rashford, Sancho. I think it'll be one of them 2 with Greenwood. I think Greenwood's nailed on, like Rod said before, to play on the right. And I'll be really, really interested to see what he does with Pogba, whether he does trust him in a big game to play as a sitting midfielder in a 2 with Fred or McTominay, or whether he, you know, because there's no doubt every big game he goes with Fred, mainly Fred and McTominay. And Pogba's played wide on the left, hasn't he? So it'll be interesting to see. I believe he can, on the same as well. That I think he can play there. Like you said, he plays there for France. The only thing is he's got Kante with him. And we know how good Kante is at doing all the dirty work and the ground he covers. That allows Pogba to give him a bit more freedom and to drift and to play the Maverick type passes that he does. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. Because I watched the game against Wolves. I don't know if you lads watched it, but they were so open to the counter attack. I mean, I know Traore's quick, but there was so much space right through the middle of the pitch. Wolves were by far the better team, and I was thinking that with Pogba as a sitting midfielder, he doesn't give you that discipline that the others give you. He might not be as good on the ball when the fans get on the back and all that, but in the big games, obviously Ollie sees that as well, and he always goes with 2 of the 3 of the more less ability but more trustworthy players as the 2 sitters.
But then he might, you know, and you can look at it with Varane coming in, that might be more solid for him, and he might trust the back 4 more. You just never know. Or you just never know. But they've got the quality to do that, definitely.
Scott, we spoke last week, and you weren't on with us, but we suggested that because I think it was Martial up front, who's not really in favour, not a great centre forward, that the problem United were getting done on the counter-attack is because he wasn't really doing the job of a centre forward, which was pushing Pogba and Fernandes on to try and affect the game, and that was leaving Fred in the middle of the pitch. It was against Southampton and Wolves, I think, and that's what made them, you know, susceptible for the counter-attack, really. And I think actually once United get a better centre forward, i.e. Ronaldo or Cavani, then you won't need to push on as much, and you can actually have Fernandes 10 yards further back, Pogba 10 yards further back, enjoying controlling midfield.
question.
No.
No, do you know what, mate? I think I'm gonna have to agree with what Rod said about Varane's influence, because if Pogba plays in the middle of the park with McTominay, I think that they will complement each other if there is a good partnership between Maguire and Varane. I think Ollie probably played McTominay and Fred because he knew that Lindelof and Maguire weren't trustworthy. But listen, only Solskjaer knows what system he's going to play. And obviously it's an exciting time for most United supporters. So.
And he's got to look at it still and look at the formation played. How did it all end up? What do we win? What do we come away with? You've got, Man United, you've got to take risks, and playing to it in holding midfield is not taking risks.
Fair enough. All right. Right. Is there anything else you guys would like to discuss? Because something happened in Guinea today, if I'm not mistaken. Do you hear about that? Military coup. They tried to take over Guinea and they cancelled the Guinea-Morocco game. They're about to go on the pitch and then there was gunshots and apparently someone was trying to take over the presidential palace. That's another game, though.
Where was that?
In Guinea. And I think Naby Keita was on international duty.
Yeah.
And here we are worried about little things, eh? Jesus. Apparently United are going to be doing spot checks. Fans, COVID-19 spot checks. How's that going to work? I know in Cyprus, right? Get this, in Cyprus, you can't buy a ticket to a football match unless you've got something called a safe pass. And that basically means it's like a certificate that says that you've taken the vaccine and you've got a negative COVID test. How are they going to do that out here? How are they going to implement something like that if that's what they're thinking of doing? It's not going to work, is it?
It's going to be hard, especially when someone's been charged up drinking since 11 o'clock. Some squares asking you for a passport, getting to watch football.
I mean, it might work in the lower league games, won't it, Scott? I mean, obviously the attendances aren't that big.
Yeah, a lot less fans. You've got 4,000 or 5,000 fans. It's more easier to control, I'm sure. But you've got 75 fans, 60,000 fans trying to get in the Etihad, or 75,000 fans trying to get in Old Trafford. It's just, I don't know.
Very, very different.
Work, yeah. Don't get it.
No, it's not a good job to have that, is it? It's not going to be a good day for you, that. It's just going to be a ball ache.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Scott, I've got a question from a guy called Rye. I think his name's Ryan, and he's a Plymouth fan. He's asked, could you ask Scott about his time at Argyle, please? Big Plymouth fan he is. Yeah. So, have you got any memories about your time there?
Yeah, no, good memories. Roller coaster. So I signed, would it be 3 seasons ago now, under Derek Adams. Played the first 6 games, then tore me quad away at Charlton. Then I meant to be out for 6 weeks, ended up being out for 3 months. It was worse than what I thought. And I didn't play again. And after that, Derek Adams had a settled team that was doing well at the time. And then I think we'd won about 7 out of 10. So I couldn't, nothing I could have done, nothing to say. But then we ended up going on a really, really bad run. But he just seemed to stick with the same team. He just didn't change the team ever. We ended up getting relegated. It was quite a strange season. So the first year was probably my worst year in football, actually, funnily enough. So it was a hell of a roller coaster. And then the second year was, we obviously got relegated then to League Two. It was the first time I'd ever played in League Two, so I wasn't looking forward to it, but I didn't really want to ever play in League Two. But it was actually probably the most enjoyable season that I've had. We had a great set of lads. Ryan Lowe came in, new manager. Stephen Schumacher is number 2. Really good on the training ground. Good coaches. And we had a great set of lads. Recruited really well. We ended up getting promoted. Got cut short due to the COVID, so we got promoted on a points per game. So that was a great year, winning most weeks. Like I say, really good dressing room. And then the following year, we got back up to League One. Started the season off really well. Then was left out very, very, very harshly, in my opinion, by the manager. Then we had sort of in and out a bit, and then Wigan came up. So obviously I wanted to really go there. It's a club I've been linked with a few times in the past. So they came in for me in January. And then that was my time at Plymouth. And yeah, so 2.5 years, one not so good year, one very good year. And then half a year that was sort of in the middle. So it's roller coaster, probably like most people's football careers, really, up, down, left, right. But no, really good club, good stadium, good setup, great fan base, really big. People don't realise how much of a big club it is, really, because it's just so far away.
It's a nice part of the world down there, isn't it?
Yeah, really nice, Rod. Yeah, some beautiful spots right on the coast. Really good club, like I say, massive fan base, really good stadium. You know, overall, when I look back at it, I look back with, you know, it was a good time, really, especially the promotion winning season. You know, it's tough to get promotions, so no, I look back with a good time.
You mentioned Steven Schumacher, and that gave me like flashbacks. Wasn't he part of Everton's academy? If I remember correctly.
Correct.
Do you remember they had what was that called? Was it the Victory Shield when it was Northern Ireland, England, Wales, and Scotland?
Yeah.
And he played for England, didn't he?
He was the captain, yeah.
He was very good still.
Was it Victory Shield? What was it called?
Yeah, you're right.
Shield, it was, yeah.
And he played for England, didn't he?
He was a good, very good young player.
Because when I was younger, when I saw that, I was like, is he related to the German goalkeeper, Tony Schumacher? But he wasn't. He was a good player, though, wasn't he? Was he central midfield? Central midfielder, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. See, Steve's nodding his head, so I've got it right.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
I spoke to him because I remember here, because I'm from a similar area. I remember speaking to him about his career, and it's not like how it is now. You know, we talk about Jesse Lingard before, had 7 loans. So Steven Schumacher, what he said, you do your 2 years in the youth team, and if you weren't ready to go into the first team, this is maybe Everton, how they'd done it at the time, or if you weren't Wayne Rooney or you weren't ready to play in the first team, you were done. There was no like, we'll give him a 2-year deal, see how he developed, we'll send him out on loan. And he says he looks back and he thinks if he'd have had that time to develop and allow himself to grow, and all the bits we spoke about with Jesse earlier, you know, he says that he could have. I mean, he still had a very good career, don't get me wrong, but for the talent he had at a young age, you know, he said himself, you know, he could have had potentially a better career, but that's football, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. Right, gents, anything else before we wrap it up? Shall we talk about our FPL teams? You looking forward to the weekend, Steve? I'm actually thinking about using my wild card.
Have you counted them up yet?
No, I haven't.
The auction ones.
I haven't done them yet. No, I have to.
Because you must be doing shit there, then. That's what.
No. I just haven't had time to do it. You should listen. If you see my living room, yeah, it's a fucking mess. I'm living in this conservatory. I'm gonna turn off the fucking.
Kids back in school yet?
Yeah, she went back to school Thursday.
There you go. Plenty of time.
No, it's not plenty of time. It's not plenty of time. No, it's not plenty of time. I've got fucking floorboards having to be put down. I've got fucking all sorts of shit going on in this fucking house. I had my niece and nephew's surprise birthday yesterday, which is a fucking carnage. Honestly, man. Honestly. Yeah. But yeah, it was all right. We fucking look at you. Everything's all tidy where you are. Not everyone can live in luxury like you.
Daughter does all that.
Huh?
Not daughter, she does all that.
Yeah, well,
woman's work that.
Mine's 7. She don't know stuff like that. I get a Sainsbury's delivery from the fucking delivery guy. She stands at the front door waiting for her Disney cards.
Yeah,
I ain't got time for cleaning the house.
Yeah, she gets free rent. Keep the house tidy.
Fair enough. That's the way forward, mate. That's the way forward. Yeah. Fucking hell. Geez. Right, gents, thank you so much. I'm going to use the wild card, you know, Steve. I'm thinking about using the wild card.
A bit early.
I know, but I don't know. I'm not happy with. I'm not happy
because you're bottom of the league. You mean?
No. Because now that Ronaldo's there, and thinking about what you said about Fernandes, you know, and Sancho isn't doing well. I've got him in my team, not the auction one that we did, the actual FPL team.
So you have got your own show.
3 games in.
I know, but still
relax.
No. But look, I've got Ings and Bamford up front. Yeah. So Bamford. You'd be gutted if you was Bamford yesterday coming off. Don't know how that hard works. And they're playing Liverpool at the weekend. Do you think he's going to get any chances? I don't know, man.
No, not against them.
I know, so he's going to come out. And then I'm thinking about playing Mikel Antonio. but Antonio played for Jamaica, and he's got to fly back. I don't know if he's got to quarantine as well. They're playing Southampton at the weekend, West Ham. So
surely he's not going to have to quarantine, or he wouldn't have gone. Surely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look at what happened to the Argentinian players. One of them's going the fucking nick. They're going to come back.
How would you say it? Loco over there.
Buendia, Emi Martinez. You got the two guys at Spurs, Lo Celso, and the other guy Romero. He hasn't even played the game yet. He'd be behind bars.
Are you doing the show on Thursday?
Might do. It might be a late one, but yeah.
I'll watch and steal all your ideas.
Well, listen, you need to listen to Dan because he knows his stuff more than I do, to be fair. He studies it religiously, looks at statistics and that kind of stuff.
You think he'd be top of the league then, wouldn't you, if that was the case?
Yeah, you would, but his first week wasn't great. But then again, my second week wasn't bad. But then again, it's head-to-head leagues, man. Head-to-heads, you need to really look out for these ones and look at your opponent and see what it's crazy.
Long way to go. My fantasy league starts NFL this week as well.
I've got one of them as well, Rod.
Yeah. I love doing that, mate. I've done it for about 3 years now. It's quality.
Yeah, I'm on my second year.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So you guys can do your hand throwball team together.
It's only an 8-man league, though, so the squads are strong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I got beaten the first playoff game last year, so I've got to do better.
How does it work? Is it similar to the FPL in the sense that you can make substitutions and transfers and all that?
Yeah, you can make transfers, but probably you've got to be on the ball and watch the games, and who has a good game, like the rookies or whoever who's not been bought, because all the good players have all been took. And there's 8 leagues, and you play against each other, and then obviously at the end of it, you go into a playoff, and then
You have to do so with FPL. You can do different systems like 4-4-2, 4-3-3, all that kind of shit.
No, it's the same. No, you've got
wide receivers,
team, and then you've got some reserves. Say you get injured or whatever.
Is that with DraftKings? DraftKings, is that the one?
No, fantasy. It's a fantasy NFL.
All right. So I've got a mate in America that does the baseball, and I can't even keep up with that because he talks about statistics and all that shit. I'm like, fuck that.
I'm a big NFL fan, as you know. So yeah, starts Thursday.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're doing this all over again. What you're Chicago? No, you're not Chicago.
No, I'm a Raiders fan. So
LA Raiders.
Yeah.
This would be Rams. Is that right?
Well, they were LA Raiders when I started. They went to Oakland. Now they're in Las Vegas.
Vegas, aren't they? Yeah. Vegas.
The Allegiant Stadium.
It's incredible, isn't it?
You need to do an NFL podcast, Rod. You and Scott need to do an NFL podcast.
I swear to God, I watch it all mostly every time I get in. Stephen A. Smith, all that shit, all the American stuff. Yeah, it's good.
But you watch MMA as well. UFC.
I'm a big MMA fan. Paddy the Baddy Pimlet this weekend was on. And there's a few scouts on. Mally McCann, obviously Darren Till, but he got beat. But yeah, that Paddy the Pimlet, one to watch him.
Is that the Scouser that fought the other night?
Yeah, and he's got a quality name, Paddy the Baddy.
He had the guy LinkedIn, didn't he?
It's like Daddy Ace. That's the only best. Paddy the Baddy.
Do you see what he said in the interview about Instagram?
Oh no, yeah, he's quality.
Fucking brilliant, man. Because you lizards. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Have you ever heard of Arlene Blenko?
Arlene Blenko, the Russian.
Yeah, no, Arlene Blenko.
Ukrainian.
She's a UFC fighter.
Oh, there's so many, mate. There's so many upcoming ones now as well, because they've got Ultimate Fighter, they've got the Contender Series. Yeah, they're smashing it over there. So,
Olga Rubin. Never heard of her? Olga Rubin.
Yeah. There's loads of upcoming ones. I told you, the women is really good fighters now as well. Really good.
So this Olga Rubin, her nickname is Big Bad. And you know, there's 2 lads that do an MMA podcast for us. They've got her coming on soon. And then they've got this Arlene Blenko as well. So there's 2 female MMA fighters coming on Shoot. It's cool. It's actually called Shoot the Takedown, which is on our platform.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So they're going to be interviewing them 2 soon, which is pretty interesting. But I need to get in touch with my mate Tam in Dubai because he knows the Gracies and all that. And hopefully he can help us out with that. But we're still doing this live. Fuck. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Scott, thanks for jumping on, mate. Really appreciate it.
No problem, no worries.
Steve, the game ended 0-0, so I guess we saved you a journey.
Nice one, my friend.
Hey,
Rod, the week.
Thank you very much, Rod. Do
Great.
you want to do your Twitter handle thing again?
At Rod James Giggs.
Everyone's going to be following you. No one gives a shit.